and welcome to my shop. My name is Tracy Maxfield and this is Hammer Down Woodworking. Today I want to cover a few things that I have found with INCRA's Miter 5000 Miter sled. I just got this yesterday and put it together, and I didn't film any of that, but I must say that their owner's manual, how to assemble it, is spot on. It is a good manual. It's easy to understand. If you get one, you should have absolutely no issues with putting it together. But I did find about 6 different things with this sled that I thought I would pass on. That way, if and when you get one, you will know what to look for to troubleshoot if you're getting your cuts off for one thing, and the other is just a couple of nitpicky things that I want to point out. But the most of it has to do with this fence. Okay, first off, you get 3 bars with this fence. One that will go all the way through, so you can hook them both together and they come up together, or you can micro adjust each one. And this micro adjustment on this is one thing that I'm going to talk about. When you adjust for your positive stop with your tape, when you bring this down, you're going to want to butt up against this. If you need to micro adjust, then you can do that. The problem comes in with this bolt. If you don't watch when you're setting this and you just tighten it down, and you're going to reference off of the actual stop itself, if you have this bolt too far, because this track will allow this to go all the way through, if you have this too far to one side, and this piece of wood is 3/4 inch thick, you can see it's actually hitting this bolt instead of hitting the actual stop, and that will throw you off. So what you want to do is make sure that this is back to the left of your workpiece enough that you can actually reference off of this, unless you're wanting to reference off of the rod and it extends out past the bolt, then you're fine. But if you're referencing off of the actual stop itself, you want to make contact with this. Just know that if you don't tighten that up back out of the way, it can interfere with your cut. Okay, the second thing that I found, and I'll show you here just in a second, but I wanted to explain this first. And the manual will show you how to zero your positive stop by your blade and on this end. It explains that very, very well, and you'll have no trouble doing that. But when you zero this, coming down here, and I don't know if this is just mine or if it's all of them. Let me get a pencil here where I can point this out. But they overlapped my tape. I don't know how well you can see that on film, on video, but they've overlapped the tape. It's not one continuous tape. I don't know if they were about to run out and use scraps or what, but they overlapped it, and you can see the bottom, this piece here, runs back up and under this one to right here. But where my issue comes in at is this mark, if you can see that, should have been lined up with this mark, because once I pass 15 inches, I gain about a 32nd of an inch. So I have to remember that, or I'm going to replace this tape. I've just got to get some. It actually came with a second tape, but it's numbered backwards to go on the right hand side if you put your sled in sled on the other side of your saw blade. But that's what mine is off. Once I get out to 15 3/8 inch, it actually measures 1/32 long, which is not a real big issue, but just know that. But there's another issue I'm going to point out, that when it's compounded with this, it can actually add up to quite a bit, which 30 seconds is not much, but in some cuts it's quite a bit. Okay, that was number 2, the tape overlapping by a 32nd of an inch, that it's off. And here's number 3, which is this extension. When you loosen this up, let me move the camera and get you to where you can see. When you loosen this up to extend this out and you tighten this down, it still has, because of the size hole that is drilled in that. Of course, you could re-drill that hole, but for the size hole that is in that, and you can't tighten that up enough to take that out. And from my calculations, best I can tell, it's moving about another 32nd of an inch there, and this is out past the 15 3/8 mark, so I've got a 32nd there, and I've got about a 32nd or so out here. There's the problem compounded. And I might even be able to put a rubber washer in behind this, but then I have to make sure each time I tighten that up that I have it where it needs to be when I tighten it, or I'm still going to be off. So that's another issue. Just be aware of that. Alright, the next thing that I wanted to point out is this stabilizer bracket for the fence itself. Now there is just a little bit, if you don't connect this, there is just a little bit of deflection in the fence. And something that I have found in just messing with this thing overnight, and you'd probably find it real easy too, is when you go from a 45, which is most common, to a 90 or 90 to 45, and you slide this in this track, this T-track it's in this, when you tighten this back down, you have to loosen this in order to move the fence. And when you tighten this back down, if you have this screw this loose, and you tighten this one down first, and then you tighten this one down, you're going to be pulling that fence, bowing it back. So what you'll want to do is, while this is still loose, is tighten, anytime you move the fence, tighten the one on the fence down first, and then tighten this one down, and that way you're not pulling the fence out of true align. Alright, and number 5, and this is really not so much as anything that can mess you up when measuring cuts, but it is something that you probably need to be aware of. This scale that is on what's called the rear actuator, this is not fastened down right here. I'm probably going to stick that down with some CA glue, but whenever you loosen this up, if you ever catch this and bend it up enough that this right here will hit it, it's going to start damaging that, and that's something that you're not going to need. This side here actually has a screw in it that holds this side down real well. This one don't, and it's just kind of sticking out there, and it does raise up just a little bit. You can see it going up and down as I'm pushing on it. If it was up very much higher, this would already hit on it, but it does go right over it right now. But just know that if you don't attach that down, and if you ever hang it on something and bend it up, then it's going to interfere with this working. Just thought I'd point that out. And lastly, just know that, like I say, I have absolutely no issues with this. It's just a pet peeve kind of type thing. But in order to remove this auxiliary bed for your offcuts, in order to be able to remove it from the table saw, it's fastened down, you have to actually keep several tools in order to adjust and realign this fence. One, you're going to need the 2 Allen wrenches that comes with it. You're going to need to keep this here because you'll need this in order to extend your fence out, and several other operations about the fence. The 2 Allen keys and a Phillips screwdriver to fine tune and readjust if it's ever needed. So you'll need to keep those tools handy near your table saw. But in order to remove this bed, there's 2 set screws down inside of these 2 holes, and there's one here, and you have to actually loosen that up to take the pressure off of that miter slot that's in this, to be able to get this piece up off of it. If you're going to go from cutting miters or cross cuts to cutting ripping stock, and 2, you're going to need this out of the way. Just know that you're going to have an Allen key, this Allen key, in order to loosen that up to remove this from the table. The other side, it will come right off. It's no issue at all. It's just this one piece that you do have to have a key to get that off from the table saw. The things that you'll need these other tools for, if you ever have to fine tune and adjust, you will need to be able to adjust here, and you will need the Phillips to be able to adjust here. And of course, like I was showing you a minute ago, this same Allen key also fits this stuff. So you'll need to keep this handy at your table saw. Well, that'll do it for this one. I just wanted to put that information out there. Thought it might be helpful to someone that if you are about to purchase or have just purchased this, if you already have it, you probably already know what I was pointing out. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, thanks for watching.